Like to say, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Tony Hollis Live Talk Show Testify. As promised, I have my guest back today. We'll be talking about the electrical rates there in Osceola, Arkansas. But before I get started, as always, like to try to remind you all that early voting do start on October the 19th. October the 19th is early voting. Please make plans to get out to vote. Um, the earlier, the better. This is a very important election, and hopefully, everyone will govern themselves and go out to perform their civic duty. That's basically the only topic that I have. I do have a guest on today that before I close out, I will let that guest speak to you on the census, that need to be filled out and turned in. And so hopefully, my guest will share some information on that. But without any further ado, as I mentioned, I want to bring on two guests today. And the first guest I want to bring on, uh, many of you know him from Osceola, Arkansas. He's running for city council. I believe is Ward 3, Position 2. And I also have a guest on, Mrs. Karen Russ. She will be also a candidate. I believe is Ward 1. Can't remember the position, but of course she will share it with you. Uh, uh, is it Ward? It may be Ward 2. Uh, but I think it's Ward 2. Of course, she will share her position in regards to the seat that she's running for. So without any further ado, let me go ahead and bring on my two guests for today. Of course, we have Brand Holthouse. And of course, we have Mrs. Karen Russ. How's everybody doing?
We're doing fine, thank you. I'm doing
All
fine.
right. Well, what I
Very
will
well,
say
thank
this
you.
here, uh, I will say this here, it's been good knowing that we have some people that love their city, and I thank you all for wanting to come on to speak to the voters of your particular ward. Shall I say to speak to the entire city at large? I know you love your city because if you didn't, you wouldn't be here today to go ahead and give, as we say, the name of this show is Testify. And so glad to have you two to come on today to go ahead and share your personal testimonies as to why you're running for city council of your respective ward. And but right now we're going to jump in it. I want you all to tell a little bit about yourself. We'll first, as we always say, we like to start with ladies first. And Mrs. Karen, am I pronouncing your last name? Is it Russ?
It is Russ.
Okay, Miss Karen Russ. She's running for Ward 2. I don't know exactly which position, so we'll go ahead and let her go ahead and speak to you right now.
Hi, my name is Karen Russ. I am running for the position of two, Ward 2. I am from Mississippi County. I've lived here all my life. I grew up uh, in Kaiser. I've lived in Osceola for the past 10 years. I love this city. I love the people in this city. I know I haven't been out around everybody as my other opponents or the other people that are in this same races that I am. I
Uh-huh.
have been focusing mainly on the census. I know the count is real important for our city. There are some concerns that I do have, and I do want to talk with you, of course, Tuesday on
Okay,
those
then.
concerns.
By all
So
means.
that's me.
Well, I want to say I'm glad that you shared, giving us some personal testimony about yourself, and uh, and so now we know. And as I stated back a few days ago, I believe, my apology. I didn't know that there was three candidates in your particular ward that you're running for. So, as they say, charge it to my head, not my heart. All right. Well, we'll move to our next candidate. I'm pretty sure you all are aware of this gentleman, uh, longtime resident for Osceola, Arkansas. He will be sharing with us today, some alternatives, if you will, uh, as to how we can get those elected rates down. All right.
Okay,
So,
I'm Bri-
without any further ado, we'll let Mr. Holthouse go ahead and tell a bit about himself.
Okay, I'm Brian Holthouse again. I'm hoping everybody can hear me. I was born and raised here in Osceola, graduated in 1980. I moved away for a little bit, lived in Denver, and I came back in 2006 to take care of my father. I've been back here since, and I've been, I guess you can say, heavily involved in studying city politics, and which was my education in college. And I enjoy working with Osceola, all its aspects, the people, everything. I love Osceola. I love the people here. I love serving. So that's me.
Well, all right then. And as I understand, I don't know if you got any feedback back in your background there. Hopefully, it'll go away soon. Um, but anyway, as you and I spoke earlier, there was pretty much 9 topics that you want to run through. I guess these are pretty much some alternatives or that could be looked at or explored in terms of trying to get those elected rates down.
Okay.
Uh, but just briefly, give us a little history of in terms of where we've been up to the present as to where we at with the rates now. I think you and I spoke earlier. You had mentioned the present mayor, Mr. Dickey Kennemore, in terms of some things that he did to go ahead and lock in some company to bring the electricity to Osceola as we know it now. And so up until now, so give us a little brief history on where we've been to where we're at now.
Okay, I'll be glad to. What happened was, this is the history in a kind of a condensed version, very condensed version, and everything I have to say is actually good news. So let's get into that. First of all, we had 2 diesel generators in the city of Osceola, 2
Uh-huh.
large diesel generators that produced a lot of electricity. You poured diesel into the machine, and electricity came out, and a lot of electricity came out. Well, the EPA decided that once the generators no longer worked or they were not repairable. They didn't want you to repair them. Small repairs you could, but not a major repair. Once it was irreparable, you had to sell it. And that's why we sold both of them eventually to foreign countries. The first one went out a while back, and the second one, which was our backup, which became our primary, it was supply electricity. So we got electricity very cheaply just by pouring diesel fuel into the generator. Okay, well, when it went out, we had to sell the second generator, and we had to what we call go in the open market. And Mayor Kennemore at the time did a very diligent job of looking for ways to get electricity for the city of Osceola as cheaply as possible. It was just incredibly difficult for him to find learning this at the same time to find electricity. Well, eventually, to his credit, I'm saying this is an amazing thing he did, was he was able to convince MCEC, that stands for Mississippi County Electrical Co-op. The electrical co-op. It's a branch of the Arkansas Electrical Co-op. He was able to convince them to extend their services or their product with electricity to municipalities, Osceola being one. And so we were able to buy our electricity. Thank you, Dickie, for one of the most affordable, if not the cheapest rate you can get it for in Arkansas. And so we are now on a long-term lease, 20-year agreement, I think it is, with Mississippi County Electrical Co-op to provide electricity for the city of Osceola. Now, one of the things we're going to have to determine who signed the contract with them, was it the OMLP, Osceola Municipal Light and Power Company, or was the city of Osceola itself? And we'll get into that later on why that's important.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the history, and we have different rates for our customers. We'll get into that later on, but we basically buy our electricity from Mississippi County Electric Co-op, and that's the history in a nutshell.
Well, all right then. I'd like to say, I guess there were some good things to remember about our previous mayor there, and so thank him for his efforts in terms of the deal that he struck in terms of bringing electricity to Osceola. But anyway, before we move into your 9 topics that you want to speak about, let's try to establish the different rates because there are some concerns as to why some pay more and some pay less. And so let's talk about let's talk about the residential rates here. Is that pretty much the rate? What is going? What is that? 975.
Yes,
Uh,
that you can convert that if you want to. That's in a dollar standard. If you just move the decimal places over and go to cents, it's 9.7 cents per kilowatt hour.
okay. So and that's what the residence is paying, correct?
In addition to a $10 or 9.95 base charge.
Okay, and this I want to put another rate up here. Can you explain why the church rate is a little less than residential?
Yeah, a few years ago, we had this discussion at City Council, and all of us, and of course, I'm not on the council, don't get me wrong, but everyone in the committee, everyone in the group agreed that we must help the churches, which are nonprofit, which are, attendance may be down or whatever the purpose may be. We feel that a house of worship should get the absolute best rate we can give them because they're, I mean, yeah, this is kind of hard to say, but I think we should support houses of worship as much as possible, and this is how we're doing it.
Well, let me ask you this here. There was a question also asked of me. I mean, I'm not arguing the point that we shouldn't help churches. I'm not arguing that point. But I think in light of Osceola having somewhat of problems trying to retain a grocery store, um, is there anything special that can be done in regards to like you're doing for the churches? Is there anything that can be done to attract a grocery store to the city of Osceola and offer them somewhat of a favorable electrical rate? Is there anything that have been done, or
Well,
I mean, to your knowledge?
yeah, there has been. We actually, I'm not saying we, not me, I should say we as the city of Osceola, we will enter into various kinds of agreements, but remember, any and everything must be approved by the city council. There's not the OMLP, the mayor, they can't do things. Only the city council can approve of any type of a structure set up to help someone. We try to get the when Food Giant closed, we knew there was a problem. They're extremely large users of electricity. They have the coolers, they have the air conditioners, they have the doors, people going in and out all the time. They have display, they have lights on all the time. They have lights in the parking lot. So the city of Osceola gave them a very attractive rebate program. And it was, well, you can look it up on OsceolaArkansas.com if you want the actual numbers. But there's approximately $75,000 a year for 5 years to help them pay their electrical costs, and they pay in quite a bit. And even with that discount, they didn't make it, as most people in town know. But we can set up such things to help businesses get started if we know they're serious about coming to Osceola and engaging and doing business with us. I'm sure the mayor
And,
would be open to anything like that.
and just one last question before we close on the topic with the grocery store. Um, for whatever reason, they didn't make it, even with giving them. Um, I'm just my understanding of a favorable rate. So, what would have to be done different uh, to attract the next grocery store to try to maintain it? I mean, of course, we can we go any lower? I guess what I'm saying. I guess I'll start there. Is there a room to go lower? For as charging.
Well, of course. Yeah, of course we can. But who's going to pick up the tab? We can give it to them for free, can we not? Just say, use what you want. We'll pay for it. But then who picks up the tab for it?
Yeah. Well, hopefully the city council and chamber and whoever other parties are involved will come to some agreement to see what else could be explored to try to
Hmm.
um, get a
But
grocery store back to the city of Osceola because it is very much needed.
yeah,
Now,
but
these
let me
next
mention.
three
Well,
columns that
before you go, Tony, if I may, before you get off the church rates, know that the amount of money we lose or the amount of money we gain is minimal on the church rates. That's higher than what we pay for it, but it's such a small amount. It may help the individual churches, but it's almost inconsequential to the big picture.
well, in regards to the churches, um, you probably got churches stacked on top of churches there in Osceola, just like here in Blythe. So I guess from a logical point of view, you have quite a few churches in Osceola, but you only have one grocery store. And I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to rationale. I mean, I'm
Well,
still trying to figure that out. I mean,
well,
how is it that we can, uh, provide a favorable electrical rate for? I know there got to be at least be 10 churches there. I know it's more, but at least got
it's
to be.
more. It's
And
more.
so I'm just
Yeah.
I'm just trying to. Of course, there'll be another topic, but I'm just trying to, for my own sense of understanding. I'm just not I'm not saying the logic is and how we can keep church doors open, quite a few churches that is, but it's hard just to keep one grocery store open. I mean,
Well, it's true,
I'm
but
not.
I think you'd have to agree with me. We want people going into churches as often as possible. We don't want to have any reason for a church to close. I would love to see kids in activities with the churches more than anything, almost, as equal to eating
I'm
food
with you
for
on
us.
that. I'm just talking about the
Yeah.
cost of electricity, what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
But
Yeah.
basically, most churches, like my Catholic church, we're open mostly on Sunday for an hour or two, and then we're open on Fridays. I'm sorry, on Wednesdays. Many churches are that way, and houses of worship, the city of Osceola is pretty much in agreement to give them the best possible rate we can to help them, and to do anything we can to encourage people for those doors to be open as much as possible.
Okay.
So, and it's
All right.
not really much money on the big picture.
All right. We'll move on. Just three other races that we need to look at, and then I'm gonna turn it over to you for you to get off into your 9 topics that you want to speak about. And in between, before we conclude, if I see any questions that come across my screen, whether they from for you or Miss Russ, I'll go ahead and yield to you two if you choose to answer. Okay, but of course, just briefly, the next rate is a small commercial rate. Can you explain exactly what is a small commercial
Okay.
rate? I mean, who are we targeting? I mean, who's the customer? I guess what I'm saying.
Okay, you're going to have three different rates on small commercial: A, B, and C. A being the smallest, B being larger, C being the largest. Each one of those is determined on how much electricity they use. If you're going to be in rate A, that means your usage is small or smaller than the other two. If you're B, you're somewhere in the middle. If you're on, let me fix my hands. And if you're on C, you're going to have the large usage. And then so small rates. Yeah, that's C. Small rates. Small commercial businesses will have, let's say, like a print store, or it could also be a small, almost rarely open business, but is considered a business. Rental places. I mean, what do you call it? Storage facilities? That's small. They don't use very much. Basically, just lights. You can have a small one just where there's a light, a phone usage, something small for an office, and it's not heavily used. So we try to give them a very favorable rate also, which is 10.85 cents as you have there, and the other commercial rates are. I think what happened, the larger and more they use, they get a better rate. So small commercial, we also have large commercial rates. And so on all of these rates that we have, it's all structured based on how much you use and how we can help you and to be considerate of your ability to pay the bills.
Okay, that was. I think you ran through all three of them, correct? A, B, and
B and
C.
C based on size. I think the
Okay.
largest, the heaviest users. Let's talk about some of the heavier users. That'd be your school. That'd be your hospital. That'd be your Walmart. That'd be your maybe possibly McDonald's. They may be middle one, but there's the large, heavy users that are not industry. Industry is specifically your factories. We call them industries. And then your commercial would be your restaurants, your any business that is doing retail type business, Walmart, your hospital.
Okay, let me interrupt you right quick. Small commercial business. Just give me an example of just one business that would be.
Okay, small business,
Right.
Karen Russ Trucking Company.
Okay. What about B? Give me an example of what company that would be or business.
Probably Sandbar Grill. Probably someone like any of the medium restaurants. Maybe Wings and Things. People who are in middle grade that use more than just a very small office would use, to up to so many kilowatts per month.
Now this next one here, C, I couldn't make that rate out, but I'm pretty sure it's higher though, correct? It should be higher than that, correct?
Which one? I
The
think
one
the
that we're
small.
looking at now. C.
Yes, I see
All right.
C up 12.59 cents.
I know on B we had what was it? It was like 13, was that 13 cents?
Right. I think that's something like the print shop pays something like that. What we
But
do, we'll do another show and we'll break down the commercial rates completely. And I give you the usage amount it takes to go into each one. I'll break it down every way possible for you. I just didn't have it in front of me right now.
in places like your large commercial rates, that's over say 500,000 kilowatt per hours, that would be some of your industries like Big River Steel,
No, it's
Enzo or
commercial.
what?
That's commercial rates. You're talking industry. Industry rates are completely different. I think you should have changed that from large commercial. I think you should say industrial rates. And so industry, you have three different branches. You have residential, well, four if you want to consider churches. We have you have your industry. You have your commercials, which would be anything from a Walmart, a hospital, or a school, high school, all the way down to your small, like Karen's Homes, Russ Trucking. Everything is, small. A lot of people run their businesses out of their homes.
So
But
actually, I should have changed that name. Is
industrial.
residential, commercial, and industrial.
Correct.
Okay.
And the commercials are broken down to three separate groups. Each of the industrials, I think they have a separate contract with the city, but I can get Philip Adcock to give me all the specific information on each and every one of them if you want me to.
All right. Well, look like we got about 3 questions over here on the board before we get into you laying out your topics. They wanted to speak in areas of, I don't know if these statements or these questions. Let me just run through them. Well, first we got Mrs. Rhonda New. She says separation of church and state is a must. She goes on to make another one. I'm not sure I like this idea. My have pop-up business all over. Why not one rate for everyone and they can adjust their rates accordingly? Then yours not paying taxes on things you don't use. I guess she's speaking of the churches. And the last one that she have, they could invest in solar, which you all going to talk about that in a little bit, and city provide free hookups that feed back into, like someone is trying to call me, feedback into the system and subcontract usage from what they put in. Look like someone is trying to call me. But anyway, but those were some comments that was made by Mrs. Rhonda New.
Yeah, let Ms. New, I want to let you know that we're going to get into all of these in a few minutes, especially solar panel. We're going to talk about the agreements. I told you earlier the importance between who signed the contract with MCEC. That's very critical to what you're talking about. And also the rates are based up off hospitals, churches, high schools, Walmarts. They can afford to pay more for their massive usage. You have to understand that there's a thing called demand charge. And if you have a small business, you can send almost anything into that small business. to supply them electricity. But if you have a large business like a hospital or Walmart, you have to have a much larger infrastructure to provide them consistent electricity. So it costs more to set up for these large industry, large commercial than it would for a small commercial. And that's part of the reason they're different rates.
Well, all right then. And we're going to come back to those questions, of course, as I see them coming in. But of course, let's go ahead and move into your topics, and
Okay.
and hopefully we'll come back to addressing the concerns as it relates to this issue with the churches.
If I will, Mr. Hollis, I want to make a couple of comments that may save us some time, because I know Ms. New is going to ask here in a few minutes which committee we're talking about. So let me answer that before we even get started. We have a committee that is called the Airport and Utilities Committee. A lot of people just simplify it and call it the Utilities Committee. And the Airport and Utilities Committee, they are the ones. That's where the responsibility for most of these activities and discussions should start. It's good that we're talking about it online. You and I are getting the discussion started. But when the city starts to make recommendations, starts to make decisions on what they want to do to help the residents and the other businesses, it's that committee where the discussion should take place. Okay, the second thing I want to talk about, just as a clarification, is that we need to talk about the city finances, how much we can afford. And that's Linda Watson's committee. And it's, like I said before, is by far the most important committee in any city, any town, any district, because that's your purse strings. And if you can't afford to do something, you have to look at that first. And so you would have to have the finance committee almost every decision made to talk about what we can and cannot afford to spend on infrastructure or on increase or decrease of electrical rates. Okay.
Well, so if I understand you correctly, once this ball started rolling in terms of looking at these alternatives, it's going to require the Airport Utility Committee and the Finance Committee.
Absolutely.
How are those two committees working to your knowledge? Are they meeting pretty regularly? Because this is going to be, it's not about, trying to show anyone up. It's about making sure that those key committees, they need to be meeting if we're going to address this issue as it relates to, in this particular case, we're talking about electricity. And before we can spend any money, and for us the planning and everything, we're going to have those two committees, to somewhat be on their job, just being blunt.
That's true. And I'm in a campaign, as you said right there, I'm a candidate. The person who is in charge of the Airport Utilities Committee is actually my opponent I'm running against. So I'm very hesitant to say anything negative about, because I'm not into that kind of negativity about the effectiveness of that committee. I do know that if I get elected and I get on that committee, it's going to become, let's just say, pretty energetic. It's going to become a very active committee.
Well, okay. Well, let's just go ahead and run through your topics. You got 9 of them, and that way we'll come back. Now, what we'll do is you go through per topic. What I try to do is let's try to cover about, say, 3 topics. We'll pause, and if we have any questions per topic, we'll go ahead and yield to the audience, okay? And Miss Russ, I think there was a part where you're going to bring her in to speak on, I think it's solar panels, correct?
That's correct.
And so I'll let you go ahead and, sort of pick the point as to when you want to begin to start speaking on the solar panels.
Yeah. If I could, I want to talk about how the city gets electricity from Mississippi County Electrical Co-op and how we pay them for the electricity we get.
Is this your first topic you're talking about?
No, this is an understanding of everything I'm about to talk about. And the other ones were situations, but this is now going to be how we get electricity from Mississippi County Electrical Co-op. There are 3 ways we get our electricity from them. The first off, if we don't even use a single kilowatt, Mississippi County Electrical Co-op charges us a monthly fee. a monthly flat monthly fee, just as you see on your bill. You get a monthly fee. Mine is $10, $9.95. If I don't use a single kilowatt, I still get that $9.95 charge. Okay, the second way that they charge the city is that they have a per kilowatt hour charge. Just like you get a charge on your bill, everybody gets a charge. This is actually my bill, and I'm not sure if you can see it. Right here, you can see I paid off my last 2 months, and then I get my bill here, which is a sales tax. My $45 is right here is my charge for my electricity for the month usage. I used 463 electricity. Now, I have two bills. This is only for the second part of my house. I also have another bill which is higher for the house, and it is my other charge. I get a $9.95 monthly charge. I don't know, because I have 2 meters, and then I get my sales tax, which is the sum total of those other two at 10%. Okay, so that's the same way. We pay them the same way. There's a third charge, though, a lot of people don't know about, that we pay so much cents per kilowatt to MCEC. So, and it's very low number. But the third rate is what drives up our costs to and this is something we need to have some serious discussion on in the future if you really want to get our rates down. And Ms. Russ probably has the best answer possible if the city's willing to engage in it. As far as the third rate, it's called demand charge. And I have to give you an analogy. Demand charge is actually the supply charge for us to get it to the people. So in order for the electrical company to get us electricity, they charge us mainly demand. So here's the analogy. Let's say you had to take 1 or 2 people on an airplane. Well, you can put them in a little Cessna and take them anywhere you want. It doesn't cost much. Let's say you want to take 10 people on a plane somewhere. Well, you had to get a bigger plane. Let's say you had to take 100 people on a trip. You have to get a 727 or such. If you want to take 1,000 people on a flight, you're going to have to get you a jumbo jet, 787 or whatever the big ones are, to take those people. You can see a 787 would cost you considerably more than a Cessna plane would. So this demand charge really jacks up our percent kilowatts cost. It is determined on a 15-minute interval for a whole 2-month period. And they take that 15 minutes when it was absolutely the highest. I'm not sure if it's a 1 hour period or 15, but they take a very short clip of time which is the absolute highest possible. And then they charge us that add-on fee, which brings our rate. It would be, if we didn't have that fee, it may be 1 or 2 cents a kilowatt we're paying. With the demand charge, it may take it up to 6 or 7 cents that we pay MCEC. So that demand charge is the main cost that we pay per kilowatt. Okay.
And of course, everything that you're talking about now, I'm pretty sure that's going to have to be a lesson to the customers. Well, I'm pretty sure they probably don't have an idea, a clear understanding as to, the 3 different rates that you talked about, and demand charge being the highs. And so that's pretty much something that where the council is going to have to educate its customers on, because to be honest with you, I would say probably 9 out of 10 customers probably don't have an idea of what you just said.
And I think that we should do another show, a 30-minute show, and clearly show that to everyone. And I'll break it down. I'll break it down to you can see what we have been paying. All this is freedom of information, and OsceolaArkansas.com should have it where it's very clear for every single consumer to know what the city of Osceola pays for its electricity, so they can get an understanding, that we buy electricity and they sell it, and that's how they make their profit. And that's where the people of Osceola should know that when you pay electricity at 9 cents, well, how much of it is profit? And that's what we use to pay our bills in the city.
Well, all right. Let's go ahead and let you go ahead and roll into your 9 topics for the sake of time here. Okay. Because I think what people want to really try to understand is what are the alternatives to getting down the electrical rates. That's basically what they want to hear today. And so hopefully something to be said where they can understand as to if this is something that they need to speak with their respective city council people, because I'm sure they will be the one to go ahead and get this ball rolling. But anyway, let's go ahead and roll into your topics. And if time permit, we can come back and we can talk about some of these things you're talking about now, because honestly, I think that's going to have to be a course uh, for us teaching these people those three different charges that you're talking about. Uh,
Okay.
but anyway, let's move into your topics. I think the first one you mentioned was the AMI meter. You
Meters.
want to you want to briefly explain exactly? I mean, what are we talking about here?
Okay,
AMI meter.
I'll go over all these. The next 9 topics for your viewers is so they can know that we're going to be talking about the alternatives to the what things you can do to save money on electricity. Some of these are going to be that city provide, and some of them are things you provide for yourself to help yourself individually. We not going to talk about the obvious decisions such as just simply voting to lower it more. These are things you can do to help. The AMI stands for Advanced Metering Infrastructure. Advanced metering infrastructure. That's just, if let's give it a nickname, just so everybody just give it a nickname. Smart meters. These are the same thing that your gas company has on their meters. So when you buy gas, like I have a smart meter. You do not need to read it. It will broadcast your amount, your usage, or the current amount, and then you know how much you use that month. All you have to do is just drive by it, and it will. You can go from I think Black Hills Energy, they leave Burdette, go south, drive through Osceola all the way down to Joyner, and they can tell you what gas usage for every single house in 30 minutes. Okay, AMI meters. Currently, we have 2 people going out reading meters, and they will look at the meter, determine the number, see how much you have used since last time, and then you get a bill on that usage. AMI meters are, as like the ones you have on your gas, are extremely advanced. They can, I mean, and the more you want to pay for more advanced metering, you can have an application on your phone that where you can see day by
How's the
day.
AMI meter going to save the customer money? I mean, what's the significance of the AMI meter?
Well, the AMI meter is a more efficient metering system. If you look up AMI on Google, just Google it in AMI meters, you'll see there's several reports about how it will save people money. As far as Osceola is concerned, this will allow individuals who have high electric bills to call City Hall, have someone explain to them how much they use per day and maybe per hour. So let's say you're using currently $10 a day on electricity. Then the very next day, your meter jumps up to $50. Use $50 next day. Why was it a 5-time increase in one day? Well, you're not going to know, but your AMI meter can track that. It can tell you per day how much you're using, per hour, per minute, whatever you want it to monitor. So if you're having a high bill, you need to know what you're using per day. You need to know how much you're using per day or per hour and what's causing it to kick in and be so high. What is actually the cause of your rates to be so high, and you need to be able to track that. And it also could be, if you have a really good AMI meter, it could go to your cell phone if you have a program, and it could sit there and says your cell phone could say with a warning, your AMI meter has just indicated a massive increase in energy usage. Find out what's going on. So AMI meter is something the city is getting excited about. Plus, we have 2 people running out reading meters every day. If we had the number being broadcasted, well, right there's a saving of 2 employees that can do that. And you can download the information to the city computer instantly and find out what your usage instantly without having to hire people to go by and read it. There's no more human error on misread meters and stuff like that. And the city is actually getting ready to implement this program. This is something Sally Wilson started about 6 years ago to make sure the city of Osceola has it.
So I guess what you're saying, even with the smart meter though, it's going to be the responsibility of the customer to do this thing. I think you mentioned, say daily. Uh, I'm just going to be honest. Me as a person, I don't think I read my meter any. And so what are you saying is that the only way that the customer is going to really stay on top of this usage is that uh, it's they're going to have to be accountable to reading their own meter as opposed to someone come reading it. You're not going to have a person come out there reading every household meter once this program is set up, are you?
No, you won't need anyone to read the meter to broadcast your usage to City Hall or wherever the receiver is. Maybe it may be at the electric department. It may be at another office was set up that the city was set up. I keep saying we, I mean the city that was set it up, but it can be fed into the city for a somewhere wherever it's read, and it will keep track of your usage by the day, by the hour if you want it to. But it's just simply like right now, I'm being broadcasted to you and you're seeing me live. Well, your AMI meter will do the same thing on the usage of your electricity.
But I guess it'll still be some accountability on the customer part if they see that it goes from $20, say from day one, and day three is up to $75.
Right. And we're going to get into some of my other points that we address that issue, but the meter will at least tell you when you have a spike or a jump. And it also it's a very efficient system. The old meters, I'm not sure how efficient they are because they're mechanical. With time, they may or may not work more efficiently than when they're new. The AMI is digital and it works perfectly at all times.
Okay, let me see if this question here is on the topic that we're speaking about. You said I was required to. Let me see. Let's see what this question here is. Then I'll let you get back into it. I'm going to be honest. I can't get it out of my mind that you said your house required 2 meters. I assume you are referring to size of your home requiring that. If that is the case, how are you going to be able to relate to the people on the east side struggling to pay their bills and help them improve their condition in life? That was Mrs. New. She was referring to, I think she picked up where you said you had 2 meters.
I do.
And I guess she mentioned the people on the east side is struggling just to get by on 1 meter.
Right. This is not an issue at all that anybody should be concerned about. My dad built my house. The main part of my house was built by Judge Costin back in 1908. My dad acquired the house in 1959, and it had its own meter. It had its own bill. It had its own separate system. In 1972, my father built an extension. We call it the playroom, and it's out behind my house. And because my dad kept that meter, that electricity separated from the house. So the city will come out and read my house at the meter, which is where my garbage charge, the mosquito control, all of that is put on my house bill. This is just an attached a second part of my house that goes to the playroom. I use very little electricity out here.
So I guess that's pretty much answering the question as to you having 2
meters, right? I wish we had 1 meter, so I wouldn't have to pay that dadgum $9.95 every month. That's also taxed another $1 to make it $11 a month.
Well, and then let me see who was this here. I am wanting to know why Osceola feel it is okay to be disconnecting power during such economical crisis. That's a question by Miss Amanda. Are you aware of anyone being disconnected?
No, I know the history of what she's talking about. During the pandemic, the federal government passed a state of Arkansas also passed a law that said no one could be cut off electricity, nor can anybody be evicted from their home. So Mayor Wilson knows this, and she refused. No one could be turned off during the pandemic period that the state of Arkansas set. So she kept them all on, and nobody was cut off. Now, the state of Arkansas has relaxed that rule, and cities, municipalities, and energy and other electric companies can now, as of I think the 1st of October, start turning off electricity for people who do not pay. And it may be wrong, but a lot of people are taking advantage of it, not paying their bill, and then they just, when it gets up to a large bill, they just leave town.
Okay, then your next topic, if you had anything else to say on the AMI meter, we're going to move to your second point, which is energy consultants. You want to basically explain exactly what we're talking about when we say energy consultant, and how does that help one, with the bill?
Okay, I had to give it a name, so I just picked energy consultant, energy czar, energy expert, anything you want to call it. It doesn't really matter to me. Here's what I'm looking for. I think the city, we have our own municipal light and power company. We can hire an energy consultant that does energy audits on homes, on businesses, and anyone that needs an explanation is why. So once you have these meters on and somebody says, hey, I just jumped up $50 yesterday, can you send somebody out here to explain what happened? So we need somebody who has the time to go to everyone and start working with them. I think we should hire an energy consultant who is an expert on energy consumption. Let them work specifically with every single person in the city of Osceola. And I know they're going to be busy at first because everybody's concerned at first, but let them explain to everybody things that they can do. Here's just some of the things that an energy consultant would probably look at. They could check your air filters. You're going to have fans running to blow in heat, especially if you have electric heat. He can tell you if your air filters are clean, show you how to check them. He can also check your water heaters to see if they're electric or if they're gas. And if they're electric, he could probably tell you how to insulate your water heaters to make them more efficient. He can work with you on like which one has a better cost effectiveness, which one has better plans for heating and stuff like that. He can also tell you about heat on demand, which is another type of, instead of having a tank in your house for hot water, you can have a machine like a coffee maker, just a very powerful coffee maker that can run hot water through it when you need it. So you turn on your hot water faucet, bam, heat on demand turns on, and hot water comes through just like a coffee maker, a very large, powerful coffee maker. Also, you can also get energy efficient. You may have let's say an electric stove in your house and you cook on an electric stove. Well, is it the most efficient electric stove we have? Is it the best one that you can find on the market? Is it more energy efficient than an old one, say 30, 40 years ago? The one in my house is almost 60 years old. It was there when I was a child. It's the same one I'm using today. And I think there may be more energy efficient. I remember when I was working with Eric Godey at the Chamber of Commerce, we had a very low SEER rating on our air conditioners. Eric turned around and we wrote grants and got some very energy efficient air conditioners for the Chamber of Commerce. Matter of fact, the most modern and newest air conditioners you could get, which are very energy efficient, and it dramatically reduced the cost of electricity for the Chamber of Commerce. And so this are things that an energy expert can come and do. He could do an energy analysis of your home and break it down and say, this is what we need to change, this is what we need to fix, this is what's good, this is what's bad, this is something you need to focus on, this is where you need to insulate, this is where you need to, these are all the things that you need to do to consume less electricity. That's energy.
All right, just real quickly, try to sneak in some statements or some questions here. See what that one. This was a complete yes. I think she wasn't happy with your answer, Mrs. Amanda. Mrs. Nero, I would think that the money would be better spent out on air filters and water heater installations. And this is Mrs. Amanda again. If someone is struggling to get by as it is, I doubt they can afford a tankless water heater.
But it's an alternative, isn't it? I mean, I mean, there are people out there that's not as struggling as much, and maybe they can invest in something such as a tankless water heater. Use less electricity. Just get hot water when you need it, as opposed to keeping it heating in a tank. I mean, not everybody is struggling to get by. Some people are, some people are not. And somebody like myself is something we can maybe consider. I mean, I'm not saying that. I mean, what do you want to do? Just give that's just another alternative.
Well, again, we got just two more. Again, Mrs. New, directly to the people. This is directly to the people. Not hire someone to say things that need to be done by people who can't afford it. Speaking of that, when you start talking about going out, changing their air filters and other things. Do the city actually have that manpower to do that?
No, I don't think they do now. I don't think we have any energy consultant now. I mean, people are going to say to you, well, look at your house. I mean, we're supplying electricity. You're getting electricity. If it's not energy efficient, is it our fault? And so that's basically and you'll get to number 4. But would you? I guess if the people who are negative about hiring someone who's an energy consultant, whether you not know anything, is that your alternative? Is
Is
not
that where you
knowing
talk about
anything?
the energy relation?
No, that number 2 is the energy consultant. They're saying we shouldn't hire someone who can help people because, if they're barely getting by, why hire somebody? But would you not have the information at all? You don't want any information? You just want to keep everything in the dark and say, well, we don't know you use electricity, good luck. I don't see, what is wrong with hiring somebody who can give people answers? And they're upset about that. I don't understand why. The question is, I think it was Miss New said, no, maybe Miss Caitlin said, if someone is struggling to get by as it is, I doubt they can afford a tankless water heater. Well, that's an alternative. And we're talking about alternatives today. And they said, I would think that money would be better spent giving out air filters and water heater installations. Well, the city doesn't supply air filters, but a consultant can look at it and tell you if you need to change it or if it's in good shape. I think an energy consultant is something that we could use in the city of Osceola to help people find ways to save money.
Okay, let's move to the next one.
Energy relations.
And the next one is energy relations. You want to run through that? Tell us what is this topic here in relations to, and how does that help conserve one's energy in terms of its costs?
Yeah. Okay. In a relationship, energy relation or relationship, there's a lot of, like the EOC helps a lot of people pay their electric bills. There's foundations out there. There's groups that will say, we will help you pay it during times like LIHEAP. Other groups and organizations will help people pay their electric bills during times of difficulty, or even normal times when people are just having difficulties. EOC is special. I have to say that we should develop every single possible relationship with like foundations and people who help. And I have to say, we have a lady at City Hall. I think I mentioned before, we have some unsung heroes, people who deserve praise, but no one knows about them. There's a lady working for the city of Osceola. Her name is Stacy Travis. She is doing an incredible job of helping people to have a structured payment plan. She is just doing an incredible job. The amount of money that we're paying her is almost nothing compared to the amount of money she's saving the city of Osceola. She's extremely valuable in the sense that instead of us writing them all off now, she's really working hard with all of these corporations, other industry, other foundations, other groups of people that's willing to hurt. She's really looking for people who can assist people to pay their electric bills. And you got to give thumbs up to Mrs. Travis for really working hard on helping us developing relationships with people who can help pay. She's just phenomenal. We don't have to write off nearly as much as we have written off in the past. So that's it. So I'm thinking we should continue to develop relations with people who can help us pay some of these energy bills off.
All right. We'll move on to energy team. Is that pretty much go hand in hand with the very first two?
No, the energy team. Let's say you have one of our employees becomes trained on teaching people how to save money, save energy. It could be one of our current employees who go out and get specialized training, or it could be some young person out of college who has incredible amount of knowledge on energy consumption, energy usage, something like that. We have some really bright people working for the OMLP, and they can help. So I would say. If that consultant, then they make a note of what needs to be done. Okay, but it's not done. So if we had an energy team, people like volunteers, let's say myself, we get together with a group of 10, 20, 30, 50 guys, and we'll say, let's go over to that house and see if we can't help I'm going to use it Miss Jane Doe, help her fix up her house. So we have no one now that's working, but if we had an energy consultant say, if you insulate this house inside, it'll really help you. Well, then the energy team that we create can go out and help insulate a lot of these homes, maybe change the air filters, start doing all this stuff that we need to develop. I think the city of Osceola should start looking for volunteers to help people insulate their homes, to change out appliances, to install tankless water tank heaters, all these kind of things that we can do. And I think we should develop an energy team. Other towns have it. We do not. that I know of.
Well, I think that question there by Mrs. New, I think you pretty much
Oh,
had
okay.
some of your answer into that question already. She
Yep.
was asking, is there anyone, um, someone that we already have, we meaning, I guess, the city of Osceola. And so you pretty much already answered that.
Well,
Uh,
we're going to have to do a lot of training for the AMI meters. So if while they're doing that training and learning how to fix them, repair them, and stuff like that, well, maybe we could also take one of them who wants to become the energy consultant for the city of Osceola and let them go out. I mean, we have some brilliant people. I just throw a name out there, Steve Stallings. I don't think I know a finer, more intelligent person than he is, and I mean, maybe he could set up a team of energy consultants and he could be their boss, their supervisor, and say, guys, we need to work on this part of town today. We need to find out why they're paying so much, why their usage is so high in comparison to other areas and stuff like that. There's a bunch of things we can do. So yes, that's and I think maybe he could organize a utility team. He's a brilliant man.
okay, let's move to, was that number, was this 4 or 5?
Number 5. Okay.
Program thermostat.
Yeah, the programmable thermostat is something that I'm going to get from my house, especially once we get the smart meter. Let's just say I'm a parent and I'm sitting at my house. The kid comes home at 3 and I'm at work at 5. He just jacks the electric heat up, or he jacks the air conditioner on, and then he runs outside to play with his friends. So here it's on. So the parent can now take their phone, they can get an application on their phone, they can reprogram their thermostat to go back down to say 76 or 78 while they're not there. Or on the way home, they could turn their thermostat, let's say, to 72 during a hot period, and then give it time to slowly cool the house down. So when they're there, they're not just turn it down to 50. A programmable thermostat will give people power and control over their thermostats for their energy usage, whether it be gas or electric. But a programmable will work really well with the AMI meters. You can get these with or without the AMI meters, but I just think, that's the kind of way people should start looking, is alternatives for stuff like programmable thermostats. It wouldn't be a bad idea for people who rent houses to put those kind of programs in to their houses. So especially if they're vacant, they can control it. A programmable thermostat.
Okay, you mean you're speaking of when you say people put those thermostats, and you're talking about the landlords?
So anybody can do it. I just think that if I was a landlord, I'd put it on almost every home I have. So if they're so that they would be, I can program the usage of electricity, and the tenants would have a more energy efficient. I would want my tenants to have the absolute most up-to-date
Is there any
modern.
kind of money set to the side that landlords can, benefit from, whether it's city, county, statewide? Is there any type of funding out there that will allow the landlord to do something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. Usually that kind of stuff is incorporated into the rents.
I mean, the reason I asked you, you and I spoke. You say you write grants and all, and I thought perhaps maybe you came across something like that.
I'm more than sure that the Department of Energy, and Karen Russ can speak on this. She actually does a lot with the Department of Energy. That's kind of one of her specialties. She's all because of the solar panels, which is the Department
And
of
we
Energy
want to
also.
come to Mrs. Russ too. Just hold tight, Mrs. Russ. I know you're pretty much absorbing all this here, but I see you, and we're going to really come to you. But
And she
but go ahead
found
and pick back up on a. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead and pick back up on programming.
Well, she found
thermostat.
Yeah, she found a grant through the Department of Energy. She brings it to the grant committee. Now, Karen is one of the grant committee suppliers. She brings ideas to the grant committee, and then we take it and we analyze it and we start writing for them. So we work together. I mean, it's not like it's a singular activity. We work together. Okay. And I would like to write grants for this if the grant committee needed me to do it.
All right, then. Okay, you want to move to the next one? Is there anything else on programming thermostat?
Yeah, if anybody has a comment about any of these things, they just comment on it, and we'll talk more about it. But these are general idea alternatives to what we have now.
Well, we got one question here. Let me see. I don't know if that's on thermostat or not. Mrs. New, use that money we save on no consultants to pass those out. I guess she's saying use the money on savings.
Yeah. She's saying not to hire a consultant, it's to use the money to programmable thermostat, filters, and insulation. But I think you're still going to need somebody to explain it to everybody how to do it. So I don't know how you're going to get around the energy consultant.
Yeah. Well, all right. We'll move to no
Number
other
6.
questions on programming thermostat. We'll move to alternative appliances.
Okay. Here in my house, you saw my playroom charge was low. I only use a fan. I do not use air conditioners in my main house or in my playroom, no matter how hot it gets. I think Miss Russ will tell you it can get pretty hot in my house. The reason being I only use a fan everywhere I go. I also use dehumidifiers. I have 2 of them out in the playroom. Dehumidifiers take the moisture out of the air. So when it gets hot outside, the moisture inside gets very hot, and when you feel yourself sweating, it's usually the humidity in the air that causes you to sweat, and that's when a lot of people crank up the dehumidifier called an air conditioner, and that's a high energy usage. If you can get the air, the water out of the air and keep it around 40 to 45%, you can use your air conditioner a lot less. So what I do is I get the moisture out of my air, and the fan is all I need. So a team of stuff looking at stuff like that are the alternatives that people should be considering. And also,
so what is the cost to this this appliance that you're talking about? What is the cost roughly on that?
You can buy them. They're cheap, anywhere from, I say, a small one-room dehumidifier for $50 to a large one like I use for. I think I paid mine at Best Buy. I paid $229 for a large one. It will do 70 pints a day of water.
And then again, I imagine it's going to take working with entities like EOC and others who for those low to very low income type folks. I'm pretty sure they're going to need some kind of help. Whether it costs $50 or whether it costs $200. I'm pretty sure that you're always going to have that group of residents that going to need some financial help.
Yeah, but let me just mention to you, it's not only low income people who are suffering from high electric bills. They're high income people suffering from high utility bills. So if let's say you make
about the cost. I'm talking about the cost of the equipment, the appliances that you're talking about.
Right, and we can help. But let's say you make a good $80,000 a year. Well, you're able to afford your bill. But if you're paying $800 a month for your electric bill, I don't care if you do make $80,000 a year, you're still going to be upset about an $800 a month electric bill. So if people knew that they could put a dehumidifier, take the moisture out of the air, a fan is all they need after that, well, they're in good shape. That'll help lower their bill considerably, and they won't be paying $800 a month. They'd be paying maybe $300 to $400 a month.
Well, maybe this next topic. This next topic that you was talking about.
But before you go off of that, alternative appliances, let's also remember that, good efficient window screens. A lot of people do not raise their windows when it's cool outside because mosquitoes will come in. At nighttime, the temperature can get down to 72, 75, 76 degrees, but they're not going to raise their windows because their screens will allow mosquitoes in. Well, we need to start looking at stuff like that. Get screen doors, get screen windows, get the type of protection to keep the insects out, so we can open our windows up, put a fan there right by the window, blow that cool air in. It's the same thing as the air conditioner. Then it's much cheaper than air conditioner.
I agree with you, except for one thing. What do you say to those folks who are concerned with safety? We're living in a world now to where you can't raise your window, not even with a screen on it. It's just people they're just not nice nowadays. It's so much crazy stuff out there, breaking into your homes and this, whatever. And so, you're always going to have that group of people that are going to have those concerns as well. But I see where you're going with it. But,
this whole show is about alternatives, and I mean, it wasn't about safety, and it wasn't about what would happen. It's about alternatives, and if you live in a good neighborhood, or you live somewhere where you feel comfortable, just raising your screen and putting a fan by your window so it'll suck in that really nice, cool nighttime air. Well, that's what this show is about, is alternatives. I mean, if you want to do another show on crime or safety and stuff like that, I'm more than sure that Mr. Williams will be glad to come on and talk about safety and security, because that's his committee.
Well, No, I didn't want to talk about crime. It's just that when you said raise the windows, there's always going to be safety concerns. What I'm saying. But
But make
anyway,
it, yeah, next one.
we're gonna go to step down. What is it? Step down
Yeah,
discount.
right. This is for residents, and one of the things that a lot of people, I don't know, I have brought this up to the city, the city officials, the town officials, many times about things we can do to help it. There's some people that will get a very high electric charge bill, and now. We talked about this also, Mr. Hollis. If you use, like I do, 450 kilowatts electricity, that's not a lot, and it's $45. So that's affordable. But what if somebody has a house like mine, but using 8,000 kilowatts? Well, their bill is going to be $800 or maybe 775 or something. It's going to be a very high bill. So it seems to me that the city would have a step down program. We've adopted one of them. So the first 1,000 kilowatts that you use is regular normal price. People like me who use 450 will pay the full price, and it went up to 1,000. After the second 1,000 kilowatts that you use, maybe step it down from 9.75 to 9.25, or even step it down to 9. Then if you use 3,000 kilowatts, step it down to 8.5. If you use another 4,000 kilowatts, step it down to 8 cents. Give people a break if they buy in bulk. It's like bulk buying. If you buy one apple, I can't give you a discount. If you buy a whole bushel of apples, I give you a better price. You buy a truckload of apples, I can even give it to you much cheaper. So if you're using a lot of electricity, well, then let's give you a bulk discount. So step down the prices. The more you use, the better discount we can give you. I think we should do that. Charging a woman who uses 8,000 kilowatts, the same as my 450, I just think we can help them out that way more. I think the city should start considering a step down discounts. I mean, it's
All
just
right.
not.
We have some. I don't know if these questions or statements. Run through them right quick. Uh, okay, here we go. This is Mrs. New. The difference is one doesn't have to worry about food insecurity. Um, we have Miss Amanda. I don't think he understands most of Osceola is food insecurity.
You're
And
right.
we
I don't
have
understand that.
And we have another one. What's that? Bats eat their weight in mosquitoes every night.
Well, that's
Uh,
not true. That's not true. But they do eat a lot. The ones that eat the most are the martin birds. And when I was growing up, we had 4 or 5 martin homes outside, and these are good things for as far as mosquito control. I didn't know that was the subject tonight, mosquito control. But you know, if you want to have another show on insect and mosquito control, we could do that too.
and this is what I was sort of referring to. Mrs. Amanda, she said, I wouldn't sleep with my window up. I'm a single mother. That's insane. That's basically what I was talking about. For is you're always gonna have either the elderly people or those women who feel insecure with their windows up, and so
Right.
that's what she was actually piggybacking off. I guess the statement that I was making.
Yeah. Okay. But
Uh,
But let me ask you, Mr. Hollis. Are we talking about um, one or two, or the people who are feeling that way? Are we talking about everyone in Osceola? I mean, are we helping just a few people? Or are we
no,
going to help
yeah,
everyone?
yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm just being fair right now. The name of this show is that for those people that who don't want to jump in and give their 2 cents, I don't care to talk to them. But if for the people that care to come on to the show and they want to go ahead and speak to you in regards to some things that you're speaking about, then I just think it's only fair to go ahead and share their comments. What I'm
Right,
saying.
and I
Uh,
understand that, but not everyone. Like me, I'm protected by Smith and Wesson. I live out in the country, and I have a window, and I leave it open at night. I got a fan in front of it. It's an alternative that some people might not think about. It might not be applicable to everyone, or it might not be right for everyone, but it might be right for some people who just haven't thought about it because they haven't got their screen fixed. They don't want the mosquitoes in, so they close their windows and don't get the cool night air to come in. It's an alternative. It's not for everyone, but it's an alternative. That's what we're talking about, alternatives.
okay, I get three others, and then we're gonna let you get back into the sack of your
Some big
next
ones,
topics there.
right?
Uh, we got let me see. What about the high light bills and on
On
some
some.
this low income people that get only monthly checks and light bill higher than the rent. Can you answer that for me? I guess she basically was talking about speaking on the high. I know you're talking about our alternatives, but still, I guess this person here who's on low income, uh, she still want to know what about the high light bills, I guess, as they exist now. I guess
Yeah.
that's what I'm understanding.
Yeah, and that's something that the utilities committee, airport utilities committee, that's something that committee really going to have to start focusing on to start helping the lower income people who are struggling. Right now, EOC is one of the very, I mean, I don't know if we could do without them, but this is something that the utilities committee need to start addressing. Unless they want more people leaving Osceola, we need to, and I'm giving you alternatives. So we also got some plans tonight we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes that can really start helping the city of Osceola lower the rates. But these are some things that people are just not thinking about or trying to do. And they're worried about specifically about themselves and say, well, I don't worry about John Blow next door, or John Doe next door. I'm only worried about me. Well, we're talking about everybody and things that everybody can do to start saving money. And I think if we had a team of people, we had an energy consultant say, make your house insulated this way. Well, that's what we need to start focusing on and start helping these lower income people have more energy efficient homes. I mean, I'm
And
willing to
last
listen.
statement, yeah. Oh, and just this last statement here, and then we'll definitely let you get back to your topics. It's the entire. This is just a statement, I guess. It's the entire picture. We have to look at the entire photo and address all the issues. Uh, we can't be too big to help across the board. I think you just referenced that uh,
Mm.
in regards to trying to, you know, we're all lending a helping hand. I guess basically what you had just wrapped up
Well,
on.
in a minute, we're going to get to the real heart of the issue. You wanted to start to show off with energy alternatives, and so I had 9 of them. We're going to get to the heart of it, and we
Okay.
really need to do that. And you may say we need another show for it, but we're going to hit that in a minute about energy costs, about what everyone collectively pays. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but go ahead with your next topic now.
All right. Next topic: solar panels. I guess that's what Mrs. Russ come in at as well.
Yeah. Well,
Correct.
look, this is extremely powerful. And I think that the people in Osceola want to know, well, what can we do to help everybody? What can we do to help everybody in town have lower rates? The other things I talked about before is things that individual use. But what about the city getting electricity and charging less? Okay. And energy panels was talked about earlier by Miss New, I believe. And so this is what I'm thinking. And Miss Russ and I have been talking about this for almost 2 years now. We have a lot of when we buy electricity from MCEC, when we buy it from them, we don't get any of it for free. There's not a single kilowatt that goes through there that's not free. We have to pay for every bit of it, right? Would you agree with that?
Oh,
Mhm.
Okay, so
I
when
agree.
we give electricity and pay for it for OPAR, who pays for that electricity? Who pays for the free electricity that the power plant, that the offices get? Main Street, the City Hall. It doesn't pay. We also pay electricity for 3 or 4 organizations, that being the museum, that being Chamber of Commerce, that being, I think Main Street gets, I know the homeless shelter gets free electricity. A lot of these people get free electricity. Well, who do you think pays for that electricity? You think you think that MCEC is going to say, oh, you don't charge them, so we won't charge you? No, they charge us for everything. So Karen and I have been talking about a while for a way to reduce that free charge that the city has to bill somebody else for. So if you have electricity, let's say City Hall. I'm just going to pick City Hall. We don't the consumers, the rest of the consumers in town, they have to pick up that tab, absorb the charge that City Halls pay. Miss Russ came to me and said, Brian, why don't we put solar panels on City Hall? Now, do you remember when I said to you earlier, this is going to become critical? Who has the contract with MCEC? Is it OMLP, Osceola Municipal Light and Power, or is it the City of Osceola? And here's why it's very important before we get into solar panels. The City of Osceola, or whoever signed that contract with MCEC, Mississippi County Electrical Co-op, has what you call a no-compete clause. That means that the city cannot produce or pay for electricity from any other source. We can't produce it ourselves. We cannot buy it from anyone else. We must get all our charge from MCEC. Okay, the power grid that we have in the city of Osceola to go from is also controlled by OMLP. So you cannot bring solar panels from a farm, attach it to your house, and say, there you go. So Karen and I have been talking about ways of getting around this, and her and I have got some really good ideas. So if you take City Hall and you put solar panels on top, and it's all paid for by foundations that's willing to give us the panels for free through a grant, is that allowed or not allowed? If it was, look how much electricity the city would save that the residents do not have to absorb. Now, just look at all of the ways the city spends, that we have lights, so street lights. We have, and of course, they're becoming more energy efficient. We have City Hall. We have the city offices where the employees come in the morning. We have the OPAR. We have the golf course. We have the airport. We have the animal shelter. We can just go on all day on people who get free electricity. And so, if we can give them their own free electricity without violating the non-compete clause, sorry, with MCEC, we could do that. Ms. Karen will probably talk now more about the solar panels.
All right. Let me sneak this before I go to Ms. Russ. I want to sneak these two questions in right quick. Let me see what she's saying. It's a statement or a question. It's why come Osceola can't deal with energy one-on-one, each individual? Are you understanding that question, Mr. Holthouse?
Why can't Osceola deal with energy one-on-one with each individual? You mean make the price the same? I think maybe we could ask for a little bit more clarification, Mrs. Gregory, Ms. Jacobs. And why is it that Osceola can't deal with energy one-on-one with each individual? I mean, we have our own power plant, we have our own energy company, and energy is a competitor. I don't think that we can allow to even do any kind of business with them whatsoever, as long as we're with MCEC.
It's because of the no compete clause.
Okay. And this servant is going to cost. I'm gonna come to you, Mrs. Russ. I want you to piggyback on that, what you just said. It's going to cost, I guess, whatever these alternatives, I guess, the one we're speaking on now, I guess they're concerned with cost as well. Now, Mrs. New, I think she referred to something. I said something about, I guess we tied up in some contract to where we can't generate electricity on our own or what have you.
We can't buy from any other source, or we cannot put solar panels.
Is that 20-year contract that they signed back here a while ago?
Yes.
Yeah. There's no way out of that.
Mm-mm. I mean, you don't want out of it. The thing about it is, yeah, you don't want out of it. It's the cheapest electricity you go get in the state of Arkansas. I mean, the problem is not what we're buying it for. The problem is the individual users. We're getting it for 9.75 cents a kilowatt. The average nationwide is 12.83. I mean, we're actually paying 3 cents a kilowatt less than the national average. It's just that we're using it's much higher usage here than in other places. If you go to like Jonesboro, where it's cooler, and they're up on Crawley's Ridge with less humidity, well, they use much less there. They use probably a fourth of what we do.
Okay, that's the last question before we go to the solar panel. Matter of fact, this question is in regards to solar panel. It said, what is the cost of the solar panels? If anything, Osceola doesn't need to be spending any more than it already is. I'll turn it over to you, Mrs. Russ, and perhaps maybe you can go ahead and answer that question that was asked by Mrs. Amanda.
Okay. First of all, so Osceola wouldn't buy your solar panels. Okay, that is
Okay.
because of the no compete clause. Um, the solar panels are becoming cheaper every day. I am doing a lot of research on
For
this.
those audience that don't know exactly what solar panels are, can you just give a brief definition of,
Of
solar
what it
panels?
is. Okay,
Right.
solar panels. What it does is they're panels that you put on your house. Well, you don't actually have to put them on your house. They can be in your yard, um, and they draw the heat from the sun. It charges the battery, and that battery uh, produces energy. There's a converter that changes the. Oh, Brian has it. That
Yeah.
there's a converter that changes it to ACD for you to actually use inside your home.
All right.
Brian and I did some extensive research and spoke to several companies, one which was actually out of Little Rock, on this. With the cost, there are several great grants to actually do the cost with. Um,
Department of
the
Energy grants.
yeah, Department of Energy grants. Um, the cost can actually be you if you wanted to put them on your home. The cost can be split amongst as many as 20 years. Cost very little. Say, for instance, my home is a 2,300 square foot home.
All
Okay.
right.
I had it energized. You name it. Windows,
Ma-
the roof, the siding, the insulation, everything that you possibly could think of to make it as weatherized as possible.
Uh huh.
Um,
Miss New says she has them on her house. Miss New says she has solar panels on her house.
okay. Now,
Yeah.
for me to actually have the solar panels put on my home, it is only going to cost me 25,000 for me to go completely off grid, which means I no longer have to use City of Osceola energy because my house is now energy efficient enough that, and I'm energy efficient enough that, um, and with the cost of the panels being low enough that I would no longer need. I have very good sunlight, so the panels would be able to get the heat and the energy from the sun. Um, there are a lot of people who I know are on low income and need different kinds of ways to save money, which I'm going to throw this back at you, Brian. Um, there are grants through the weatherization and program that is through the Department of Energy
Uh
that
huh.
has grants that will help low income people who need to have their homes energized, where you don't actually have to hire somebody to come in and tell you whether your house is energy efficient or not. There's actually grants for that.
Yeah.
And you can actually,
Read what
and
Rhonda
with the
New
solar
just posted.
panels. Okay, and with the solar
Sorry.
panels.
Say. Yeah.
Um,
Tony, go to Rhonda's last post just posted
okay.
to answer Karen's question. the question I asked Karen. Rhonda said, I got mine for about $1,500 and did them myself because I'm poor and cheap. Well, so the thing about it is Karen's right. She has Department of Energy, has many programs for various levels of usage, from cities all the way down to individuals. And we can try to use those solar panels on top of the buildings that are getting free electricity so that the residents do not have to absorb it. Businesses do not have to absorb it. This is something that I think Sally has kicked off into the grant committee for us to look into, and I'm starting to look into it now
Right.
for a citywide method.
That's right, because with OPAR, with the lights being on all the time at nighttime, it's you and I and my neighbors and everybody in the city of Osceola is having to take that energy cost, and we're actually paying for it. We're absorbing it with what we pay each month. Okay. And I'm tired of it. I don't mind if I don't mind being charitable to those who need charitable, you know. However, wastefulness is wastefulness. Those lights being on all the time don't need to be on all the time. There are more efficient ways to save money than the lights that they have out there. Those can be solar energy lights if they would just put them up.
Yeah, if we can get it from
Okay,
a grant.
let me sneak in some some statements over here. I don't think they're questions, and then I'll let you pick back up on it, Miss Russ. Uh, where we at? Okay. It's on how much how much are the ones needed to run city office that Brian was talking about? Someone has to pay for it. We also got it really seems like it's a no-win situation. So the solar panels cost money as well, um, and they could run the lights on the road.
I think, Tony, that
I got two more. Just give me 1 minute. Right. I know that's right. Where she got that I was implying the city buy said solar panels.
Oh,
And the last one is let me see. I think it's the last one. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, that's Miss News. She said she got hers $1,500.
$1,500.
And this last one here, it said why not go to energy where we will pay less for light bills. I work every day, and in the winter time, my light bill's still high, and there's no one at my house but me and my husband, and everything is off till we come home. And I don't understand that.
yeah.
Uh, I
Okay.
guess Mr. Holthouse, I think he was talking about a program earlier about the smart meters. That's
Yeah.
probably one way you can catch.
Yeah, she said one. I think she meant to say. I think her phone probably had an autocorrect. She put the word energy in, and it autocorrected back down to energy. She said, "Why not go to Entergy, which is the energy company?" And we can't. We can't. The city of Osceola provides us electricity. We get it from cheap. Actually, Entergy can't compete with Osceola when it comes to it. We do have some people with high electric bills. We've got to find out why. And all the things that we've talked about, such as getting an energy consultant to go in and look at it, put that AMI meters on there, let him break it down. And if it needs to insulate, the team could come in and insulate it. And then we can also have Stacy working with anybody could help pay until we get the solutions worked out. These are all things that we need to start discussing to see what we can do to help the people of Osceola, rich and poor. We don't need to lose anyone.
And Miss Caitlin, I do apologize. It's not that it's that Osceola can't, even though I would love to be able to put, believe you me, I would love to be able to put solar panels or have a solar farm for everybody to be able to have solar energy for their homes, to have
That's
to
that's
have
a that's
a right a a cheaper energy bill. That was the goal in the very beginning. It's just that Osceola power plant will not let us do that. I would love to be able to do that. That's something that I would love to be able to do. And I know there may be at one point a way to work around that. However, getting it on your house is a workaround. And there are grants that we may be able to provide. And that is something that I am researching, is to find the best grants for people to be able to get these much needed assistance solar panels.
Uh-huh.
Of
Well,
course, there are some people who who don't live in their own home, and they live in apartment buildings or apartment complexes, or they live in rental, um, and then that becomes another point to consider. However, there is still that point of having some type of solar or energy um, energy resource that can help, is the thing that I'm looking for to help the citizens of Osceola.
without moving to the other questions here, let me sneak one in here. I think we're talking about cost. I think there's a few people over here looking in my window over here, my screen window. Uh, they all talking about costs in terms of the solar panels. I know you had alluded to grants and things of that nature. But I guess even if money was available, okay, even if the money was available, where everyone can go out and purchase, these solar panels, would that put the city in a situation? Because, man, I mean, they're tied into a contract, I believe. I think it's for what, 20 years or whatever. And let's admit that this Osceola Electric Company do generate funding. So do you think that there will be any kind of pushback from, uh, the city of Osceola? When I say the city of Osceola, I'm talking about, city government. I mean, do you think there'll be some pushback?
Okay, I hear your echo. As far as the cost is concerned, there won't be any cost if we don't get the grant. We won't get the solar panels. The grant is, the city is pretty adamant about not spending any more money. And Mrs. Wilson, Mayor Wilson, is very strong about supporting the grant process. So we write grants all the time. If we can get a grant, we'll do it. And that's what the solar panels through the Department of Energy, which is the organization that does most of it. There's also foundations. There's companies that are out there that are trying to promote their products, and they will give out free samples in a town to get them started. And there could be, let's say, Walmart Foundation, or maybe Koch Foundation, or one of the big companies will say, we will support solar panels. So we go to this company that Karen has connection with in Little Rock, saying we want to buy and install several panels. The Koch Foundation will pay for it. I'm just picking a foundation. I'm not sure maybe the Rockefeller Foundation. All these large organizations are willing to help people and programs, or the Department of Energy, and we can put these solar panels up. I mean, it's something that we got to look into. It's something that we got to consider. And it won't cost the city any money to put them in. It's all grant process. If the city cannot buy solar panels, just so you understand that, everybody's talking about how much it's going to cost the city. The city cannot buy them, people. Only foundations, grants, Department of Energy, other programs that we write either a program or write a grant for, is wherever the money would be coming from. There'd be no money coming from the city for a solar panel.
Okay, I understand. You're speaking on, the city not spending money on solar panels. My question is, what I was asking is that the city is in the business to where it generates money from selling electricity to its customers. And in selling that electricity, it allows the city to do some things, providing other services for the citizens, like OPAR. Okay. So what I'm saying is that if you get enough people who go to these solar panels, would dry up the funding that the city rely on for as charging electricity to its customers. I mean, that's what I'm saying. And so I
Yeah.
guess what I'm saying is that would the city be willing to embrace something like this, considering it will go and start playing in the city's pocketbook? I mean, that's what I'm
Okay, let me answer first. Just so you know, the as far as the city, the we Karen, Mrs. Russ may be interested in that. I'm not interested in that. If I get elected, I will take an oath to support the city, which means no compete, which I would not
saying.
support competition. But we're talking about free solar panels on top of city buildings like City Hall that use electricity that is passed on to the residents. That is okay. That is where we should. That's how we can get our rates down, by getting the city free electricity where it's not paying for it anyway. So let's say the city is using. I'm just going to throw a number out there: 20,000 kilowatts a month. Okay, they're paying 20,000 kilowatts a month for electricity. The residents, the businesses, the industry has to absorb that cost. If we can turn around and provide that 20,000 kilowatts a month for free through solar panels on top of our buildings from a grant process from the Department of Energy, that's what I support. As far as the residents and other people, like Miss New here, she has it, she loves it, it seems. That's not what I want to talk about. Maybe something Miss Russ would talk about. And if she gets elected, I don't think she'd be interested in doing that to her city also. But let her talk now.
All right. Well, let me get back to you, Mrs. Russ. I'm sorry to interrupt you again.
Oh,
I
I'm
promise to
fine.
go ahead and let you complete your paragraph, sentences, or whatever without interruption. So, floor it back. Floor it back. You on the floor.
Okay. With the solar panels, um, first of all, I would really love to do the solar farm, a residential solar farm, and that would be to help the residents.
All right.
That would be my ultimate goal. But the pushback on that is Osceola Municipal Power and Lights on the power lines. So to get it from a solar farm to your house, they say no. And that's just a point blank statement. No.
Uh-huh.
So take it like you want it. I don't like it. So the only way to fight it is to voice it. And so I'm going to voice it loud and clear and as strong as I possibly can. Mr. Holthouse doesn't like it. I know that. And and there's quite a few other people that doesn't like it. But everybody in the city of Osceola needs to know that they are paying for the extra that is out there that they shouldn't have to be paying for. There are alternatives that can be done, and it's time that they see it, and it's time that they know about it. And solar panels is one very good, very legitimate, easy way to do it. We can do this and it not hurt the industry. It wouldn't hurt but it would help bring in people, businesses, small businesses. It would help the small businesses that we have now, and it'll keep people from leaving. It'll keep people from leaving who cannot afford what they're paying now. And that's the point I want to get across.
And that is something that we're going to come up in on the number 9, and the last one is maybe the possible solution to all of this. Miss Russ talking about helping the individuals get lower rates. As a city official, if I'm elected, I will be obligated to support the city's plan, which is selling to everybody and to do that method. I know that the city of Osceola is heavily dependent upon OMLP to support a lot of the activities we have in town. And I think if we go and get to the next one, we might want to start addressing that.
Okay, is there anything else, Mrs. Russ, on the solar panels?
Oh no, go ahead with the next. The next
Uh,
one's dear to heart too.
I really thank you for your input on the solar panels. And you two working together on the solar panels, you and Mr. Holthouse, in terms of, just digging in, getting all the information, as bringing to the people as another alternative, the key word that we're talking about, that can be used to sort of lower one's energy bill. But the last one is converting to sale tax, convert to sale tax-based economy. Did I type that in correctly?
You typed it in perfectly. Okay.
All right.
The problem we have with Osceola, and I think Miss Russ will understand this, is we just talked about it. The city of Osceola is basically electric. We make the money that we use to support most of the activities in town through OMLP. That stands for Osceola Municipal Light and Power. And when we depend upon them, they can't lower the. Well, just to be clear, the more they collect, the more they can support other city services. And that's what, they collect a lot of money from a lot of people. So we are able to pay for the other luxuries. I mean, we have an animal shelter. We have a golf course. We have an airport. We have OPAR. We can go on all day with other organizations that depend upon that money coming in. We have street lights because people will absorb the cost for it. We have bright lights out there by OPAR at nighttime absorbing the cost. We absorb a lot of cost, and the people with OMLP are the ones paying it. We do not have, the problem is we do not have a very strong sales tax based economy here. Other towns, and let's just go over a few others. Let's go over, have you been to Mountain Home lately? It's currently in 1980, I graduated Osceola. I left here to go to college in Conway. And in 1980, Mountain Home had a population of 8,066 people. Osceola had 8,881. I think Wynne, Arkansas had 7,927. I think Newport had 8,339. We were all relatively the same size, and I know because we played football against them in conference, and so we played similar sized towns. Now, Marion was a very small town, but it had a large school, and it had about 3,000 people. It was just double from the previous decade. 1970, it was about 1,400. So Marion went from a tiny town of 1,400 to 3,000. In 1990, it was 4,400. In 2000, it was 8,900. Today, Marion is 12,345, according to the last census. Of the 5 towns I mentioned to you, including Osceola, it's now the largest. And they do not have a power company. And neither does Mountain Home, Newport, Wynne. They don't have power companies, yet they're all doing very well economically. Well, how are they doing so well? And we have a tax base. We have a 1-cent sales tax, and we also own our own power company. Why aren't those towns suffering worse than we are? Matter of fact, if you go through Mountain Home, you think you're going through New York City at times. It's a very vibrant community. So why are those other communities doing so well and we aren't? Why are we suffering here?
So on this, what was we on the
sales tax-based economy?
Sale tax-based economy. I heard you make the comparisons and all, and so talk about that. How do you?
Well, that's what I was wanting to absorb. I want people to understand, why are these other communities doing so well and we're suffering? Because they rely on sales tax collection. They rely on retail people collecting money on sales tax. They do not have they do not have a power and light company to collect money for them, but they collect a very strong base and amount of money based upon their sales tax. revenue. We have got to get out of depending on supporting our town for electricity to pay for everything through OMLP. We have got to get back to where our sales tax is providing and paying for everything, for a police department, a fire department, a water department, for everything that we need. We need the sales tax paying for it, not OMLP.
Well, don't the city of Osceola has a sales tax?
We have a 1 cent sales tax. And the funny thing about it, the county has a 2.5 cent sales tax. That's 3.5 cents. The state of Arkansas has 6.5 cents sales tax for a total of, and that's why when you go to Walmart and buy something, you see that 10% sales tax on there. You add up all three of them. And with the county, if we were really doing strong with Blytheville and Osceola, that 2.5 cent sales tax should be just blowing us out of the water with revenue. We should have wheelbarrows full of money. And so we need to get that sales tax built up fast. We need businesses coming.
Yeah, I know time been well spent. I want to get through some of these questions over here that are stacked up on me. And then time permit, we'll get back to closing out on this segment.
Okay.
But some of them statements, some of them questions. And then, for those who come back, where we at? Okay, I think this is pretty much a statement. It's an investment, not a payment. Will make a huge difference. What y'all need to watch is who they pay to rent, to place, to put lots of panels when you have places you already own, so no land has to be leased. That's pretty much a statement.
Mm-hmm.
We have another one. I'm the same. No one is home until I get off work. One time, my bill sometime runs $800. Please inbox me about the solar panels. So that's Miss Benita Edwards. Could one of you please inbox her and give her some information on that?
Let me say,
we have another one. I'm asking, how much will it cost the citizens of Osceola to get solar panels to run the city office, etc.? So we got two questions now. Both want information on the solar panels. That's Miss Manna. What's that? Caitlin.
Let's answer her question so we won't have to bypass this one. It will not cost the citizens anything. The citizens or the Osceola cannot get solar panels. They cannot buy it. We have a non-compete clause. We cannot buy solar panels. We have to get grants and foundations and other people to give them to us to put on top of the buildings to use. It cannot cost the city money. It must be done free.
That's what she's asking. She's not asking the cost to the city. She's asking what is the cost to her as a citizen.
To run the city offices?
No, purchase the solar panels.
Yeah, well, it won't cost the citizens anything, and it can't cost the citizens anything unless she wants to donate it. I mean, if a group of citizens say, "Here's $100,000 to buy some panels to put on City Hall," we'll take it. But as far as the city paying for it or the cost of citizens, I assume she means through the city. It can't happen.
No, she was asking from her own perspective, her personal perspective. She was asking, how much would it cost the citizens of Osceola, meaning her, to get solar panels to run the city's office, etc.? I guess what she was saying was that I think she wants them for herself, but she's thinking that somehow it's going to be somewhat routed through the city. Of course, could you all one of you all please inbox her and where you can get a bit more detail in terms of what was her question. But anyway, we got two other here. Because like I say, I like to try to get these people questions because I told them that, I was going to put their questions on the screen. What is it? So, y'all prices, man, will pay we still talking about cost here with y'all prices within a month. Each one will pay for itself. Let me just get through these here. It would be nice if we could just leave who we're dealing with now. I guess you mean in Osceola, along and get with energy. At the end of the day, we're still going to have a high light bill. That's not possible. You're locked into a contract, Mrs. Gregory. Uh,
Well, now
uh,
the contract we have is good, Mr. Hollis. I mean, it's okay. The question that people are going to have to answer and they're going to have to talk about is we can vote. The city council, that is, I keep saying we, the city council can vote to lower, and that's the one I have not touched on yet or have said anything about because we're talking about alternatives. The city council can vote to say every resident of Osceola, you're paying 3 cents a kilowatt, one third what you're paying now. But then we're going to be broke. We won't be able to
uh,
provide any service. We have to close everything down. Is that what
well,
the people want?
well, that's not an option.
It's not an
That's
option.
not an option. I mean, if, uh, but what she was asking was that I was trying to answer her question is that, you know, I mean, it's only fair to say, I mean, the city done tied its hands. I mean, even if you want to walk away, you couldn't walk away. That was my answer to Mrs. Gregory.
Yeah.
She was asking for another alternative in terms of going to another company, another energy company. And what I was saying was based on the city already tied into a contract with, I forget the company, the name you called. I mean, that's not an option. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why we're talking about alternatives right now.
Yeah,
Uh,
we're in a good situation with MCEC. People shouldn't get it wrong, get misunderstand. Mississippi County Electric Co-op is a fantastic co-op, and we really benefit by being with them. We have a lot of luxuries other towns do not have. You have to let's just take a Wilson. Do they have an animal shelter? Do they have the things that we provide here, like OPAR? Do they have a golf course? Do they have a airport? We have these things. We have these things for the people here. We have a hospital here. We have things these small towns come to us to use, and these are benefits that we have, and we have them because we're paying electric bills to provide for them. We need to convert. We need to really, really improve our sales tax base and go back to a sales-based economy.
okay, just real quickly, let me get through these questions, statements. Uh,
She's talking about
okay,
solar
we got
panels.
one. What was that? Uh, they would set off, and let me go through them before you all talk on them because just for time's sakes here, they will set off. They will offset it. Probably float a bond on sales tax. Okay. Another one, Wonder Love, Daniel Wilson, Solar Energy. Miss Bonita give us information who we could go through to get the solar panel. I think I already got that one. They're like, what if we can't pay light bills, we can buy things that generate sales tax revenue. Um, they have major retails that can be taxed. We do not have that here. That's Miss Amanda. Um, we are stuck in a 20-year contract. That's basically what I was talking about earlier. Things naming. We got things he's naming. Who can use them? Where would it save money for the people to pay light bill? And we got two more here. But that's dealing with, we say, okay, we pay light bill, we're still paying. That's mosquito spray. I guess that's another topic there. Uh, our struggling folks could care less about golf airports. We about to siphon gas, siphon to get to Walmart. But that's
You
basically
got it,
all the
Ron.
questions. You know, you know, we don't want you to do that. We don't want nobody to go to jail. Uh, but uh, but anyway, and then I'm gonna turn it back over to you guys to close it out, cause the time's been well spent. Uh, but most of these answers that I'm and statements that I've been reading, they concern with cost, and the ones that are interested in the solar panels, they want more information on it. Um, Of course, there are some other things in regards to. I think they mentioned some of uh, these amenities, if you will. Like I think you mentioned the dog pound, OPAR, and a few other things. Those some things I guess when it comes to trying to save money in the electric bill. I guess what they're saying, they want to put it all on the table. And I'm that's you all community. I mean, I don't live there. I mean, I don't got a vote. But what I'm saying is that they want to put everything on the table, do an assessment, and then I guess they just go from there. But of course, we're talking about alternatives to lowering one's electric bill, energy bill, and so that's basically the information that was given to the people today. Uh, and so uh, I'll go ahead and turn this thing back over. If there's anything in there, I'm pretty sure for those of you who got a cell phone, uh, Mr. Holthouse and Mrs. Ruff, I keep
Mine's
getting
gonna.
your name mixed up.
It's
Uh,
okay.
but I'm just gonna call you Miss Karen. How about that?
That
And
just call me Karen.
well, Karen and Mr. Holthouse, I want you all to go ahead and take about 3 minutes to go ahead and close this thing out. I appreciate you both coming on today. Time been well spent, and hopefully the citizen can consider using some information that you gave to where they can use as an alternative to try to get their energy bill down. So, Ms. Karen, I'll go ahead and let you go first since you've been waiting the longest. We'll let you go ahead and give us, 3, 4 minutes to close us out with any closing comments that you might have.
Okay, I do want to speak on one thing. As most of you know, Arkansas has supposedly hit its 100% count for the census.
Uh-huh.
However, nothing is going to take and really matter if the count for the city of Osceola has decreased like it is projected that it has. If you feel like that your address was not counted, or if you did not get your count, or if you did not do your census, please go online to 2020 census.gov and do your census for your address in the city of Osceola. Because if you do not, those programs that you're looking that you may need help with, like EOC, Medicaid, some of the Medicare programs, the hospital, um, the library, the schools, the police departments, the fire departments, fixtures, the roads, 129 different programs we get funding from what the census provides, the count that we get from the census. We have now till October the 31st of 2020 to make sure that we get a count for every citizen that is in the 7230 area code for the city of Osceola and its surrounding zip code area. If you live in Blytheville or anywhere in Mississippi County, please, if you don't think your address was counted or if you don't think that you got counted, please go to that census address, www.2020census.gov, and redo your census. It is necessary or we lose funding. Right now, Osceola is looking at a base count of 5,391 persons. If we take that big of a loss, the city of Osceola is really looking at financial disaster. I'm sorry to say it, but that's a huge drop from 7,000 people in 2010 to 5,300 and 5,400 in 2020. So if you don't think that you got your count, or if you don't think that you got counted, please go in and redo your counting. That's all that I have to say. Oh,
So,
just
so
one
it
more
is
thing.
October the 31st is the deadline?
October the 31st is the deadline. We did get the injunction. It did pass. We will go past the actual count, the actual drawing of the political lines and all that will go past the 00 of the, which is 2020. It'll go past that date. Yes, but October the 31st, please make sure, if you have not done your census, if you think that your census didn't make it there, if you uh think there may have been a glitch, it is okay to redo your census. Go online and redo it. If there was a count for your household and the system says, yes, we got a count, that's okay. It'll say, yes, it was done. Nobody else is coming to your house. Nobody else is coming to your house. The counts of somebody coming is done. We just need to make sure that those addresses and those people who are lost in the system are, we're just making sure that we don't lose the count for the people that are here and for some reason or another didn't do their census, didn't want to do their census, didn't realize how important that it was. The programs like SNAP, Our Kids, Medicaid, some of your senior programs, the 911 system, funding to help with the police department, WIC, low income housing, EOC to help with your utility bills. Those programs that are necessary. The information from the census is where we generate money for this area. That's where we generate. We get funding from the census. We get funding from the government. We get funding from the census count. And if people don't do their census, this area will not get funding. Osceola won't get funding. Mississippi County won't get funding. Arkansas won't get funding. And if you want your main highways fixed, that's why we get funding for the main highways. All the roads that have been decommissioned in the past 10 years, the reason for it is because we lost funding. We lost federal funding because we didn't have the count for it. The count for Mississippi County, instead of there being 40,000, we are now looking at roughly 30,000 people. And that's over all of Mississippi County. Every city in Mississippi County is right now showing anywhere between 25% to 40% loss of people.
Is that
So
the correct census address right there, www.census.gov, to fill it out online?
no, sir. It's www.2020census.gov.
www, let me do this again. You say dot 2020?
.2020 census.gov.
All right.
www.2020census.gov.
All right. Let's see if we got it correct this time. Is that it?
Got it.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you heard Mrs. Karen giving you all that valuable information. You can go to this website address to fill out your census where we can get the necessary funding that we need to do all those things that she mentioned. I thank you for that
Thank you.
valuable information, Mrs. Karen.
Thank you very much.
All right. And Mr. Holthouse, we'll go ahead and let you go ahead and have the final word.
Okay. I'm just going to give synopsis of what we talked about tonight. I would have to say thank you, Mr. Hollis. This is just even starting to discuss utility rates is in itself a victory of the battle. Now we got to win the war, and this is how we do it. One of the things we have to do is remember Airport and Utilities Committee. You have to go there because that's the people who decide the recommendation they give to the city. OceolaArkansas.com. OceolaArkansas.com is the website that shows when the next committee meeting is. I think it's going to be, if we look it up, I think it's next Wednesday at 2:00. I haven't looked yet, but that's what we have to do. You have to go there and voice your concerns to that committee. Bring up your concerns. I mean, what we're doing is just talking about ideas and talking about situations and things that we can do. But that's Airport and Utilities Committee is where you need to go, and you go to www.OceolaArkansas.com. Okay, here's the next thing we can do. Osceola has a great relationship with MCEC, and we have a great Osceola Municipal Light and Power Company. Unfortunately, if we didn't have to subsidize or pay for a lot of other stuff that we had when our population was 9 and 10,000, we still have to maintain that infrastructure. We would have incredible rates because we own our own power company, and it's really effective and efficient. And I think that, we shouldn't put blame on them. I don't think Entergy could do any more for us or nearly as well as what we have. I think what we need to start doing is we need to start thinking about what we want to, where we're going to spend our money, our excess money, what programs do we want to support, what do we want to do to make Osceola a better place, and we need to decide what we're going to have, what we can afford, what we want to do, and that's where we got to start working with the finance committee on what we can and can't afford. I think the long-term answer to all of this is us to convert from a electric base provider for what we use. We're going to have to convert to a sales tax economy, just like Newport, Mountain Home, Wynn, Marion. They all have thriving. They're doing very well, and they're mostly doing well because they're depending upon sales tax for their collection and not depending upon their power company. And these are the things that we have got to start talking more about, taking seriously, and looking at what we can do. So that's what I recommend.
Well, all right. I want to say again, I appreciate all three of you coming on. Well, both of you coming on today to be part of this wonderful dialogue on energy alternatives to try to save some money in people's pocketbook, and we will have Mrs. Karen back on Tuesday. She's a candidate for Ward 2, correct?
Correct.
And so she will come on to speak to the citizen of Osceola as to why she believes she should be the preferred candidate. So looking forward to sitting with you, Mrs. Karen, and allowing you to speak to your ward and speak to the people at large for the city of Osceola. Mr. Holthouse, I tell you, you're a hardworking man. I really do feel your passion, that you really want to help Osceola. I know there's going to be, some stumbling blocks along the way. But I think with your passion and your desire, as well as you, Mrs. Karen, who knows? If nothing else, we got to keep, have some hope that it's going to be a better tomorrow. And so I thank you both for coming on. I will pass on that information from this point out until October the 31st about trying to encourage those to go ahead and fill out the census, because Lord knows we need every penny we can get to continue to provide these services, especially as it relates to the elderly and food stamp program, police and fire, and etc. But I thank you both, and so until we come on again for the next broadcast, I want to say may you both have a blessed and pleasant day.
Well, thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
bye-bye. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all enjoyed the information that was given tonight. I want to go back over here to my screen. Knowing there, I want to close out without acknowledging some people. Look like these here was just statements, and so there wasn't questions, but I just put them up there anyway. Uh, I think we got my brother there, Brother Ferris. A great show. I really thank you for tuning in, my brother. Uh, we got Mrs. New. It sound about right. Sound about right though. Huge loss for the people. We got Miss Liz Laurie there. She said, "You're right. A lot of people left because of the light bills. If I didn't own my house, I would leave. But I don't want to start over. I'm getting too old to start over. I think we all is getting old, so you're not by yourself, Miss Liz. Uh, Again, Liz Lowry, it is probably impact sale prices on homes too, definitely. Miss Felicia Moore, how you doing, my sister? Please fill out your census. Yeah, we're going to really push that. We need every dime, every penny we can get, uh, to try to continue to provide those services for those, especially for those who's in the greatest need. And so, hopefully, Miss Karen and Mr. Holthouse, they're looking on and they saying these last questions that I just put on, these last statements that I put out there. Uh, Look, you all, in closing, I want to say this here. You know, you're always going to run across negative people. I really commend both of these people for coming on. They're not going to give you everything that you want to hear, but at least we're starting a conversation. We're acknowledging that we have a problem with electrical rates. It is, as we all stated a few minutes ago, it's causing us population loss. Among other things, we can't maintain a grocery store there. Taxes is pretty much going out the roof, as well as here in Blytheville. And so we need to come together collectively and be about rolling our sleeves up, working together to seeing what could be done to try to resolve the high electricity crisis that exists in Osceola. Again, if these two people are fortunate enough to be elected as city council, Ward 2 and Ward 3, then they're going to need the help of their council, other council members, uh, to roll their sleeves up, you know, check all personalities at the door and come to the table to work for the best interests of the city at large. That's the kind of council that you need. These two people have shown that that's what they want to do. And hopefully, if they are elected, you will get behind them and you will make it happen. So, if there's nothing else to come before this broadcast, I don't see any more statements or questions over here on the screen. I want to say, may you all have a pleasant and blessed night. And as I always say when I close out this show, peace and love. God bless.